This is my 1979 Lincoln Continental Mark V Cartier edition. Flip-up headlights. Has the 400. That's all they had for in the 79, 77, and 78. They had the option of a 460, which in California was not an option. But I believe this car may have came from New York, from what I was told. A little bit of body damage there by the rear wheel. Fixable, especially for the price that I paid for it. 66,000 miles. Everything's original so far, except for a couple things that I did, which we'll get into. Passenger dash, a little bit of aging there. So when you had these models made, you went to the dealer and had, picked all the options and everything, you're actually printed out your name on a gold-plated emblem, put it there on the dashboard. So I have replaced the steering wheel with a Raptor steering wheel, which is a pretty nice wheel. Didn't come with instructions. I had to kind of figure it out myself. I didn't really like the way it was designed to mount, but I worked with it and made it work. Had to drill through where these screws go through, had to drill all the way through the wheel because they weren't through. They were kind of just wood screws holding the horn assembly on. So I drilled all the way through and mounted it to the bracket and everything there. So that took care of all of the Lincolns, I believe from like 70 or 71 or something. All came with a Cartier clock. Mine does not work. So just because it has a Cartier clock doesn't make it a Cartier model. This has the remote passenger side mirror there, that's for that. All your driver controls here, door locks, seat controls, windows. When you start to roll it in the window, this little smoker window goes down first before the full window. This does have the moonroof option. And then inside the glove box here, there's a button that actually pops the trunk. Car has to be on, and I think I read that it is vacuum operated. I have replaced the radio. The radio didn't work when I got it. It kind of worked, but barely. So I ended up putting like a touchscreen radio in there. It's kind of nice. Bluetooth to your phone and everything. Kill switch. This is your kill switch here. That was the aftermarket, I guess somebody put there. Antenna here, which does function. So you pull it back to go up and push it forward to go down. That comes out of there, which is kind of cool. No cup holders or anything like that, so of course, a little plastic thing there. But overall interior is in decent shape. The back seat here, you just kind of fold that forward. So everything is in pretty clean, pretty decent shape. Has the opera windows there with the little light, for the passenger there, sort of reading. I guess they call it a map light or something. So then your overhead, and you have your map lights there, individual, left and right, in case one of you need a light on. Interior, carpet's decent, not perfect, but for a 43-year-old car, it's actually in really good shape. I'm not sure what the deal is with the carpet here, how it hangs. If anybody knows about that, please let me know, because I would like to clean that up a little bit. Your typical Lincoln broken stuff here and there, so it's kind of flapping a little bit. I got to take care of a couple things here and there. I just got it in January, so about a month and a half ago. This side's a little worse than the passenger side. Power locks that do work, and then your tilt steering is actually this. So you push that forward, and your steering wheel, so that's your turn signal. You push that forward, and your steering wheel will tilt up and down, which is kind of neat. Your ashtray, and that's the reason I had to come so high with the radio. I mean, I could have went, I guess, with a smaller radio, but bigger the better, I guess. I don't know. But I had to come high because the whole assembly that holds this on gets in the way of the radio, so I couldn't drop this any lower. So that's kind of why that's kind of offset there, but not a big deal. I don't care. I was here to make it mine. I'm not trying to preserve it for its original you know, back to its original state and just make it all custom for the most part. Eventually we'll do airbag suspension, wire wheels, and stuff like that. We will go here to the trunk. So you get the trunk open, so you got a Lincoln symbol, pops over to the side. It comes with a set of 3 keys, one for the door, one for the ignition, one for the trunk. Pops open, super clean up underneath. Carpets, not too bad. A little bit of peel on there, but a little bit of adhesive, you know, make that stick back together. And then, you know, the plastic here, all this stuff is, you know, pretty decent shape, not bad. So that's that. They call that the Landau top. It's vinyl. So we'll come back here. Moonroof does work, functions, you know, everything really does work in here. There's the, you know, the cover that closes it, all that. Pop the trunk under here. So this is your whole climate control assembly here. So this is your headlights. You pull it out, turn it on, push it in, turn it off. Then you can set to auto lamp, which is your lights will come on automatically when it starts to get dark out, and then you can actually have it set to dimmer, so your dimmer selections here. So that way if you drive your high beams on, you can it'll actually turn the high beams off by itself, you know, sensing another car comes. You know, the technology back then, people think like, oh, new technology. No, this stuff's been around since the 70s. You know, your fuel gauge there, and then the low fuel light there. On some options that was actually like a miles to empty kind of thing. You know, you wash your fluid there, you push it in the spray, turn it to different settings. Your high beam switch on off there behind on the floor behind the parking brake, you know, pedals, everything there. So everything in pretty decent shape. Right here under the hood. So somebody rigged that up, but it works, whatever. So eventually I'll get something nice or back to factory, it doesn't matter. One or the other. So I did new plugs, new wires, distributor, cap, and rotor. Clean the lid there for the air filter. New filter in there, obviously. Everything I can do right away I did. So yeah, new oil and filter and all that I had to do. On these down here there is a rubber bushing, they call it a rag joint or steering coupler, that goes bad. So there was like a bunch of play in the steering wheel, so I had to replace that little coupler assembly. It's basically like a piece of rubber that sits in the 2 joints that keep the two steering shafts together. Somebody made like an aftermarket like anti-theft system and kind of rigged it up a little bit and drilled a bunch of holes that kind of melt something so they couldn't open the hood. There's like a separate one that I removed. That is factory, so that's for the whole starter ignition system there. Again, you know, new wires and plugs and everything. And apparently this is factory setup, not the duct tape obviously, but I had to do something to make it stay. So I ended up doing aftermarket high beam lights. I did them with the amber. I'll show you that in a minute. But so that's your horn assembly here. There's a dual horn. And then, so this is the sensor for the oncoming headlight sensor. So once the car came, and the high beams will switch automatically to, you know, low beam until the car goes by, and then it'll turn back on. So let me turn the lights on real quick. I'll show you under here. Here, warning light. Sound. Yeah, so when it was hit there, I guess when it got sight, so I kind of took the mirror, so just kind of like jerry rigged it to make that stay. So your headlights there flip up. It's really cool looking. I like the whole amber look for the high beam settings. But it's a little couple add-ons there. But radiator cap, I'm going to do new radiator and hoses and thermostat. And, everything goes along with it. So it is cold. It's like 40 something here in Pennsylvania, and haven't started the car yet today. So let me do that. That thing runs, fires right up. A couple gas pumps. Fires right up. And that temp light does go out eventually after about 2 minutes of it running. So pop. Rumble under there. There's a little bit of a mess. I think it's just because it's running rich. Like I said, I did do all the plugs and everything, and they are all firing. So it's a little bit of figuring out to do. I don't know if you can see it, but the engine rocking a little bit under there. It's not that smooth just yet. So I'm probably eventually going to do intake, a whole intake manifold, and a new carburetor, like a Holly or something. But overall, again, man, decent car. For the price I paid for it, I got more than my money's worth. I already put about 500 miles on it in the past month and a half that I've had it, and no issues other than, like I said, it's cosmetic stuff and that little misfire I got to take care of. But again, if anybody knows why it would misfire, like I said, everything else, all the plugs are firing and everything. So it's just kind of, you know, I know there are people out here that specialize in these cars themselves. Any hints, tips, tricks anybody has for me, awesome, I'd appreciate it. But I am going to do eventually, once the weather gets a little nicer, I'm going to wrap all this stuff, you know, I'll fix all the clips and get all this back together, back to like normal, and then I'm going to like wrap this in probably like a velvet or a suede or something, along with like the dash. The dash isn't in bad shape, but it's like stained, faded, stuff like that, so it's kind of like crappy looking to me. So I just want to kind of clean it up. Get a little TLC. That's all she needs. Alright, well, appreciate you watching my video. Again, any tips or tricks for me, I'd appreciate it. And if you need any from me, I do have some info about it, like how to get these door panels off and, you know, little stuff like that. So I'd appreciate any feedback. Thank you.